that according to the studies that we've all looked at and seen, for example, CBS, quote, IRS audits the poor at 5 times the rate of everyone else. The New York Times, quote, black taxpayers are at least 3 times as likely to be audited by the Internal Revenue Service as other taxpayers. That the extent to which, if you beef up the Internal Revenue Service to target the American people, to squeeze blood from a turnip, where is that likely to come from?
Well, I thank the gentleman from hardworking, middle-class, and working-class Americans.
Correct.
Not from the wealthy, from hardworking, middle-class, and working-class Americans. And again, Mr. Roy, the American people are really wise. And, you know, if anybody thinks that somehow hiring almost 100,000 additional bureaucrats in the IRS, first place is good policy, and second place is going to save money, really, that's when you know we've been in Washington too long listening to this craziness. Hiring another almost 100,000 new additional bureaucrats is going to cost a heck of a lot of money, and never are they going to make up for that additional expense that the taxpayer is going to get stuck with, number one, and number two, then they're going to have audits after audits on working class, middle class, small businesses, end of story. And the American people know that, and Mr. Roy, so do you, so thank you for that question.
Yeah, and I assume the gentleman probably does not know, my father worked for the Internal Revenue Service for 24 years. I have no beef with individuals who are public servants and who are engaged in the job of collecting revenue for the United States Treasury. My beef is with the expansion of the Internal Revenue Service. The gentleman, the chairman, talked about quote, collect taxes, duly owed to the Treasury, right? My constituents have to pay taxes. Oh, I guess my constituents would love to learn that they apparently don't have to pay taxes. My constituents in Central Texas and Texas 21 apparently are, scot-free on the tax front. Because I can promise you when I go around Texas, not one constituent across the spectrum has asked me to expand the Internal Revenue Service. And I can promise you that if I go out and talk to my constituents and I say, let me ask you a question. Do you think that it would be wise for Congress to choose the Internal Revenue Service expansion over supporting Israel? I know what they would say, because that's what my Democrat colleagues want to do. They want to prioritize expansion of the Internal Revenue Service to target the American people rather than support Israel. Because my Democratic colleagues have never met an expenditure that they're not willing to make, irrespective of whether it's paid for. Because it doesn't matter, as we walked through in the previous panel. At revenues at an all-time high, they never fail to find an excuse by which it is always the fault of some tax bill, despite the fact that revenues are at an all-time high to the Treasury, according to the Federal Reserve.
Hello, friends. Our government is once again facing a shutdown in just a couple of days. House Speaker Mike Johnson is quickly trying to set up a vote on a budget spending bill that would prevent a government shutdown. However, this may lead to immediate spending cuts on important items. It has also been confirmed that many retirees will not receive the full Social Security cost of living adjustment next year. So I'll be going over what you need to know. Please make sure that you watch until the end of this video. Also, every Friday, I will be announcing several winners for the Walmart gift card giveaway. If you would like to enter these weekly giveaway, friends, all you need to do is click and like several of my videos and then comment below the keyword of each video that you watch. The more videos that you comment on, dearest friends, the greater your chances of winning these giveaways. 2 weeks before government funding expires, House Republicans are experimenting with new ideas for averting a government shutdown, as the new House Speaker tries to avoid becoming the next Kevin McCarthy. The current funding extension, which ends on November 17th, is what led to 8 Republicans to remove Speaker McCarthy at the end of September. His replacement, Mike Johnson, is hoping to keep the party together ahead of the next deadline. But it's a tall task given that Republicans' super thin 4-seat majority. Mike Johnson, in his first press conference as Speaker this week, said he's considering the idea of a laddered continuing resolution, or stopgap, that extends funding across federal agencies to different end dates, rather than having all discretionary government funding expire at the same time. Johnson did not elaborate on how the latter would be structured, but Republicans said the goal would likely to be prioritized deadlines for spending bills that cover defense and veteran spending over funding for domestic programs. The House Speaker had previously floated extending all discretionary government funding through January 15th. It is an idea still on the table, along with the laddered approach. Democrats say Republicans are just trying to play more political games with government funding. Representative Matt Rosendale, another Freedom Caucus member, said he was just starting to look into the concept of a laddered continuing resolution, but he's still not a fan of temporary funding extensions in any form, as he wants Congress to pass each of its dozen spending bills. House Republicans have been criticizing the Senate for lagging behind them in passing the 12 annual appropriations bills, even as their process was delayed during the 3 weeks that the House was without a speaker. The House passed its 7th spending bill last Friday, while the Senate passed its first 3 packaged together in a minibus. Representative Mike Garcia said that he would support the laddered approach because it would allow Republicans to prioritize passing the defense spending bill into law. Running the Pentagon on a temporary funding measure gives them no flexibility to begin new programs or make significant adjustments to current ones. So regardless of how Republicans decide to structure the deadlines on a temporary funding measure, there are some in the party who will still want to attach further conditions, like spending cuts or priority GOP policies. Now, friends, each year, retired Social Security recipients are automatically eligible for a cost of living adjustment, but not all COLAs are created equal. Although it was announced in October that Social Security beneficiaries will receive a 3.2% COLA for 2024, most retired federal workers will receive a 2.2% raise. More than 2 million government employees covered by the Federal Employee Retirement System, which is a 3-tier plan that includes Social Security, typically receives a lower rate than other retirees. Under the system, retirees only receive the same COLA as Social Security beneficiaries and federal workers who retired under the old civil service retirement system if annual inflation is 2% or less. If inflation is between 2% and 3%, the Federal Employee Retirement System COLA is fixed at 2%. And if inflation is greater than 3%, like it is now, the increase is 1% less than the overall COLA. Many experts have suggested that other changes could fix this issue. Switching to the CPIE for Social Security COLA calculations would indeed increase benefits in the short term. Well, my magnificent and most marvelous friends, that is the end of my daily stimulus update video for today. Dear friends, thank you very much for being part of this community. To say thank you and to show my appreciation, every Friday I will be announcing several winners for the Walmart gift card giveaway. If you would like to enter these weekly giveaway, friends, please click and like several of my videos and then comment below the keyword of each video that you watch. The more videos that you comment on, friends, the greater your chances of winning the giveaways.